Hello and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor boss preview. So today we're going to be looking at Flamebender Kagraz. This is actually a pretty cool fight, and it's not that it's insane like, say, I don't know, Orc Orger or one of the more super unique and more creative fights, but it's just a fight that's taking a bunch of mechanics that we kind of understand, and it bundles them together in a very good package, and overall it's just incredibly solid, and I suppose that's definitely a good thing. So let's just talk about the fight. Now, Kagraz's main thing is that she has an energy bar, and this will tick up to 100, and she will unlock a new ability every 25 energy. There's also a second mob there, who is, I think, her assistant or something. This guy basically just leaps around the place and does a frontal cone. These things both do hurt a decent amount, but really they're just an annoyance. You can kill this guy off pretty quickly, and then you'll be done with it. Now, this fight was filmed on LFR, but of course, you know, the mechanics are the mechanics, and they gain us, well, they pretty much tell us exactly how it's going to play out on normal or heroic. Of course, Mythic is generally its own ballgame. So, before I cover Kagraz's energy abilities, let's just talk about her regular, more kind of, I don't know, the one she just does throughout the whole fight. Now, there are only two of these. The first one is Lava Slash. This one is actually kind of cool. She essentially sends a line of lava out to a player, and this line will then explode, dealing damage to everyone within 7 yards. But it will also cause them to be targeted by another lava lash. Or is it's either slash or lash. One of them. Anyway, basically what you need to do is you basically need to just spread out, or else this will start blowing up the whole raid. If there's a big stack of people and one person gets targeted by this, well, if you're all stacked, then everyone is essentially targeted, and the AoE damage will quickly annihilate the whole bloody lot of you. So yeah, spread out and don't be a derp. I can imagine this ability being quite fun on LFR, because people are famously bad at getting out of the way of the crap. Anyway, so the next thing she does is rather mundane. It's essentially a bunch of enchanted weapons that she summons, and these will just float around the room and pulse out an AoE every 3 seconds. I think it's got a 6-yard range. It's nothing particularly worrisome, really, so you just don't want to stand in it. Now that her mundane abilities have been covered, though, or not mundane, her just regular, you know, throughout the entire encounter abilities are covered, let's talk about the energy ones. So, the first one is at 25 energy, and this one's called Molten Torrent. This is basically the same as an Inferno Strike, from, say, the Protector's fight in Siege of Orgrimmar. But, in case you're not aware, what it does is that it will deal damage to a player in an AoE. Well, it'll deal damage in an AoE centered around a certain player, and it will do enough damage to kill that single player, maybe even 2 people. But the good news is that the damage will be soaked up between everyone who is standing together. So, basically, you and a bunch of your buddies are going to buddy up, stand together, and you'll live. This can also be immuned by the various classes who can do that, which is pretty cool. And I'd imagine that, hey, it'll be pretty good for cheesing the fight once you're on a difficulty level that actually matters. The next ability she does is at 50 energy, and this is kind of cool, actually. This is, I'd say, the most interesting thing of the fight, and it's these 2 wolves. Now, one of these wolves will be empowered, and the other one will just be a regular little small wolf. Now, the small wolf and the big wolf have kind of got different ability sets. The small one will fixate on a player for 10 seconds and just try to gnash at them, and then they also have an ability where there is a link of fire between the 2 wolves. So if the player who is kiting away the fixated wolf kites the beam through the raid, then they are a bad player. The beam is pretty painful by itself, but what it does is it puts a stacking dot on people who it touches, so you really don't want to get that all through your raid. So yeah, that's basically just the main job of the player who is fixated by the small wolf. Now, if one of these wolves is killed while the other one is still alive, then it'll start to heal up, so you need to kill them both together. Now, the empowered wolf is the more interesting one. It gets this buff called Overheated, which increases its damage by 50% and its movement speed by 150, so essentially, it hits like a truck and it moves really, really bloody fast. And it also gets a new ability. This is called Charring Breath. It's just a frontal cone, which initially doesn't seem too bad, but it puts on a stacking debuff, a bit like a tank debuff, so I think it's 200% on normal, extra damage from the next Charring Breath. Now that's really significant, so of course the tank who picks up this guy will need to face it away from the raid. Now, the empowered wolf will no longer fixate players, and that's why it will be tankable. After, I think it's 2 or 3 like the duration of 2 or 3 fixates, the wolves then switch, with one losing the overheated buff and the other one gaining the buff. The tank should probably do a swap here, because the original tank's debuff is going to be pretty high. So really the main gameplay of this just involves swapping the two wolves, making sure you don't kite the beam through everyone, and the tank ensuring that the frontal cone doesn't wipe out the whole raid. Really, other than that though, it's pretty much fine. Now at 75% energy, she gets something called Blazing Radiance. This just puts a debuff on someone that will deal damage to anyone who's near them. So yeah, if you get it, just run away from the raid. It's a pretty mundane ability, really. And then at 100%, she will do Firestorm. This is a ability that could kill you if you mess up. Now, this just does damage to the entire raid every 0.5 seconds. I think it's on normal difficulty. It's got a base damage of like 10,000 or something, but it does that every 0.5 seconds, and it's a decently long channel as well. But this damage done is increased by 100% for each wolf that is still active. So essentially, if the wolves are up, there's a good chance you'll die. I don't know about on LFR mode, but certainly that's the intent here. Basically, the wolves really need to be dead by the time that she casts Firestorm, though, or else you will be in serious trouble, and you'll need to be, stacking up all of your defensive cooldowns and things like that. In addition to this damage, there's also some stuff that you will have to deal with. So first of all, it will do Magma Monsoon. This basically just creates lava that kind of flies up into the air and rains down on people, and these blobs will hit the floor and deal damage within, I think, 3 yards of their impact, so essentially that's just a thing to avoid. And then finally, there's a thing called Flame Fury. Now, this is actually important for the tank. Once she uses all of her energy, she will be empowered, and her blade will start doing this ability or debuff called Rising Flames. Now, Rising Flames will be, of course, hitting the tank, and this is a stacking thing, which I think it stacks up about 4,500 damage per second for 8 seconds, but that will continue to be stacked and refreshed. So I suppose ideally you just want a tank swap on that so that it, drops off and not everyone dies. But yeah, other than that, it's really fine. This ability just does the damage to the whole raid, then there's a thing to not, stand in, then of course the tanks just have to deal with that mechanic at the end. After she does Firestorm though, her energy goes back to 0, so that kind of resets the fight back to its first state, and that will just continue to rinse and repeat until the boss is dead. Overall, it's not a massively complicated fight, and a lot of these mechanics are things that we have seen before. For an example, the Inferno Strike style thing and the Blazing Radiance, but I think it does come together into quite a nice package. It's really quite fun. And overall I am actually really impressed with Blackrock Foundry. Its fights range from pretty good to really fun, and I think that's a pretty solid place for any raid to be. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.